Chapter 1, Mishnah 2. The Torah in Vayikra, chapter 27, verse 10, says that Temurah involves substituting an animal for an animal. Our Mishnah teaches what is included in this. A person can make Temurah by substituting chulin, unconsecrated cattle, for korbanos of sheep and goats, or by substituting chulin, sheep and goats, for korbanos of cattle, or by substituting chulin, sheep, for korbanos of goats, or chulin, goats, for korbanos of sheep. Temurah can also be made by substituting male chulin animals for female korbanos, or by substituting female chulin animals for male korbanos. Temurah can also be made by substituting unblemished animals for blemished animals, and by substituting blemished animals for unblemished animals. The Mishnah gives the source for the law that blemished animals can make Temurah and become Temurah. And it states in regard to the law of Temurah, Vayikra chapter 7, verse 10, he shall not exchange it, and he shall not substitute for it, whether good for bad or bad for good. And if he does substitute an animal for an animal, then it and its substitute shall both be holy. A good animal is an unblemished one, because it can be offered as a korban, and a bad animal is a blemished one, because it cannot be offered as a korban. Thus, the verse is saying, do not substitute an unblemished animal for a blemished one, good for bad, or a blemished animal for an unblemished one, bad for good. And if you do substitute one of these for the other, then both shall be holy, consecrated. We see from this that a blemished korban can make Temurah, the case of good for bad, and a blemished chulin animal can become a Temurah, the case of bad for good. Although this verse teaches that a blemished korban can produce a Temurah, the Mishnah will now explain that not all blemished korbanos can do so. Now, which is the case of good for bad in which Temurah takes effect? That is, which type of blemished korban can produce a Temurah? Blemished korbanos whose consecration came before their blemishes, i.e. an unblemished animal that was consecrated as a korban and then it became blemished. Since it was fit to be offered as a korban at the time it was consecrated, it acquired full korban holiness. Therefore, even after it became blemished, it can still produce a Temurah. However, if it was blemished when it was first consecrated, it never acquired full korban sanctity, and it therefore cannot make a Temurah. The Mishnah now discusses making Temurah where the number of chulin animals differs from the number of korbanos for which they are being substituted. A person can make Temurah by substituting one chulin animal for two korban animals, or two chulin animals for one korban animal, and even one chulin animal for 100 korban animals, or 100 chulin animals for one korban animal. The next Tana disagrees. Rabbi Shimon says a person cannot make Temurah except by substituting one chulin animal for one consecrated animal. For it is stated in Vayikra chapter 27 verse 10, it and its substitute shall be holy. The verse compares a korban substitute to the korban itself, it. Just as the word it implies a single animal, so too its Temurah must be a single animal.